Hey guys, what's going on? Counterspell Hater here, back with another EDH guide. It's finally here, guys. Some of the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Commander stuff. So we'll be reviewing the white-blue commander today, as you can see from Buckle Up. Kotori Pilot Prodigy. For one generic, a white and a blue. She is a legendary Moonfolk pilot, and she gives vehicles you control crew of 2, meaning you can tap. So a vehicle is an artifact that you can pay crew cost of, in this case, 2. So you would tap to tap a number of creatures with total power of 2 or greater. And then that vehicle will become an artifact a creature in addition to being an artifact. And because the vehicles would also have power and toughness. Anyways, 2/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target artifact creature you control gains lifelink and vigilance until end turn. So we're gonna have vehicles, and then we're gonna have like artifact creatures, things like that, and then we have like value for that, for like doing what this deck wants to do. So let's begin with the vehicles, starting out with Prodigy's Prototype. For one generic, a white and a blue. It's a artifact vehicle, 3/4. And whenever one or more vehicles you control attack, create a 1/1 colors pilot creature token with this creature crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. And then you got the reminder text down there. Peace Walker Colossus for 3 generic. It's a vehicle, 6/6. 1 generic and white. Another target vehicle you control becomes an artifact creature until in turn. So this thing can essentially crew cost of 4. For Helion 2 for 6 generic and double white, it's a legendary vehicle. Flying first strike vigilance 5/5. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention 3/4, 6/6. Oh yeah, I didn't mention their power toughness. Anyways, so when Parhelion 2 attacks, you create 2 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance that are attacking, crew cost of 4. But it's going to be 2 thanks to our commander. Huzima, God of the Voyage, on one side for 2 generic and blue. She is a legendary god. 2/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile her, and if you do, she gains whenever a land enters battlefield under your control. If Huzima is exiled, you may put a void counter on her, and if you don't, you then return her to the battlefield with X counters on her, and you draw X cards, where X is the number of void counters that she has. 2/4. And then on the other side, the side we'll probably be casting is the Owen Keel. The Owen Keel? I have no idea. 1 generic and a blue for a legendary vehicle, 3/3. Whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles that many cards from the top of their library. You may play land cards among those cards for as long as they remain exiled, crew cost of 1, as opposed to 2 that our commander gives us. Sky Sovereign Council Flagship for 5 generic. It's a legendary vehicle, flying 6/5. And when it enters battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage to target creature, planeswalker, and opponent controls. Crew cost 3 or 2 if you have your commander out. Conqueror's Galleon for 4 generic. It's a vehicle, 2/10. When it attacks, you exile it at the end of combat and then return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. Crew cost of 4 or 2. And on the other side, the transformed side, is Conqueror's Foothold. Can tap for colors. For 2 generic, it can tap and draw your card but then you have to discard a card for 4 generic. You can tap it to just draw a card, or for 6 generic, you can tap it and return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Demolition Stomper for 6 generic is a vehicle who can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. 10/7, crew cost of 5 originally. I recommend it's going to make that a lot cheaper. Colossal Plow for 2 generic. It's a vehicle 6/3 that when it attacks, it adds triple white to our mana pool, and we gain 3 life, and we don't lose that mana as section phases end. It's on the turn. Raider's Carve for 3 generic. It's a vehicle 4/4 that states when it attacks, you look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. Crew cost of 3. Excuse me. Oval Chase Dragster. 4 generic for a vehicle that has trample and haste. It's a 6/1 with crew cost of 1. Mobile Garrison for 3 generic. It's a vehicle 3/4 that states when it attacks, you untap another target artifact or creature you control. Crew cost of 2. Untethered Express for 4 generic. It's a vehicle of trample 4/4, and when it attacks, you put a +1/+1 on it. Crew cost of 1. Sharding Sphinx. So now we're getting into like artifact creatures and vehicles, I guess, but more artifact creatures. For 4 generic and double blue, it's an artifact creature Sphinx. Flying 4/4. Whenever an artifact creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may create a 1/1 blue Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Traxos, Scourge of Krug, 4 generic. It's a legendary artifact creature construct, trampling 7/7, and when it enters the battlefield, tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step. But whenever you cast a historic spell, you untap Traxos. So artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. Shimmer Mirror for 3 generic. It's an artifact creature mirror with flash. You can cast it anytime, and it's a 2/2, and you may cast artifact spells as though they had flash. So you can cast artifact spells, including vehicles, at any time with this card. Shorikai? Genesis it's Genesis Engine. For 2 generic, a white and a blue. It's a legendary vehicle. 8/8. I know you can't see this well, but I can still kind of see it. For 1 generic, you can tap it to draw 2 cards, then discard a card, and then you create a 1/1 Kotori Pilot creature token with this creature cruise vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. Crew cost of, I believe, 8, and it can be your commander. Tempered Steel for 1 generic and double white. It's an enchantment that gives artifact creatures you control +2/+2. Yeah, I believe we're not getting into the value stuff. Rise and Shine, 1 generic and a blue for a sorcery that turns a non-creature artifact you control into a 0/0 artifact creature, and then puts 4++ counter on each artifact that became a creature this way, and has an overload cost of 4 generic and double blue, meaning you may cast this spell for that cost, and if you do, you change its text by replacing all instances of target with each. So then it'd be each non-creature artifact you control becomes a 0/0 artifact creature, and then you put 4++ counters on each artifact that became a creature this way. So now you don't really have to prove vehicles anymore. Scare Tiller for 4 generic. It's an artifact creature Scarecrow, 1/4. When it becomes tapped, choose 1. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, or you can return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. This is nice because we're going to be probably using this to crew more than anything, rather than attack. So as we're crewing vehicles with this, we're also getting lands put onto our battlefield, which is pretty nice, especially in like blue-white, which is a color pair not known for ramping when it comes to lands. Paradox Engine for 5 generic. It's a legendary artifact that untaps all non-land permanents you control whenever you cast a spell. Jinga Texas Progress Triumph. This is the new one. In fact, If you want to see this next, I've already got the commander guide set up. So all you have to do is be the first one to comment and literally say, I want to see Jenga Texas Progress Tyrant next, or whatever you want, since, well, you're the first commenter if you want. Whether it's like custom, like this right here, or legit. I mean, well, not custom, like custom, like the cards I showed in my 10 subscriber special, which go watch that. And along with my other videos, or like legit like this one. That's what I meant to say. Anyways, back to the video. Legendary creature by Rexian Praetor 5/5. Whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets to copy. This ability triggers only once each turn. And whenever an opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, counter that spell. This ability triggers only once each turn. This does not count as a counter spell. This is just its ability. This does not make me a hypocrite. If you want to argue, okay. Turnabout for 2 generic and double blue. It's an instant that causes you to choose artifact, creature, or land, and then you tap all untapped permanents of the chosen type target player controls, or untap all tapped permanents of that type that player controls. So you can untap all your lands, you can untap all your creatures, you can untap all your artifacts, probably gonna untap all your creatures or your lands. Maybe artifacts, I don't know. Thought Weft Gambit for 4 generic and double hybrid white blue. It's an instant that taps all creatures your opponent's control and untaps all of your creatures. Dramatic Reversal, 1 generic and a blue for an instant that untaps all non-land permanents you control. Master of Waves for 3 generic and a blue. It's a merfolk wizard with protection from red. 2/1. Elemental creatures you control get +1/+1. And when it enters the battlefield, you create a number of 1/0 blue elemental creature tokens equal to your devotion blue. Each blue mana symbol and the mana cost of permanents you control counts towards your devotion of blue. So say we had this and like Jenga Texas and Sharding Sphinx, right? So that would be devotion of 5. So we get 5 2/1s, I believe, which would be pretty nice because each of those would, all you have to do is tap it, and then it could crew a vehicle thanks to our commander giving vehicles we control a crew cost of an alternate crew cost, I should say, of 2 rather than what it may be. Drogskull Reaver for 5 generic, a white and a blue. It's a spirit with flying, double strike, and lifelink 3/5. And whenever you gain life, draw a card. This is going to make use of the lifelink we are giving to our vehicles. So really gonna pay off. Lithoform Engine for 4 generic. It's a legendary artifact that for 2 generic, it can tap and copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets to copy. So a triggered ability is an ability that uses the words when, whenever, or at. And our commander uses the word at, as in at the beginning of combat, up to 1 target artifact creature you control gains vigilance and lifelink until end turn, if I'm not correct. Target artifact, yep. So what we can do with that is with Lithoform Engine here, we can copy that ability, and we can give another target artifact creature we control vigilance and lifelink until end turn. Activated ability is like an ability that has a cost, like an activation. Like you have to pay mana towards it most of the time, or tap it, or like whatever. For 3 generic, you can tap it and copy target and start for spell you control. You may choose targets to copy. We're not really interested in that part. The other part we're kind of interested in is for 4 generic. We can tap this artifact here and copy target permanent spell you control. The copy becomes a token. So this can, in a sense, double up our first vehicle we play each turn. Like, not double up the vehicles we play, but give us more. Strionic Resonator for 2 generic. It's an artifact that for just 2 generic you can tap and copy target, trigger ability, and you may choose from your targets for the copy. Hoofprints of the Stag for 1 generic and a white. It's a tribal enchantment elemental. Whenever you draw a card, you may put a hoofprint counter on Hoofprints of the Stag. And then for 2 generic and white, you may remove 4 of those counters from Hoofprints of the Stag and put a 4/4 white elemental creature token with flying into play, and then play this ability only during your turn. So this is kind of make use of like card draw and stuff that we may have in this deck. Also gives you like more creatures to block with and more creatures to crew. Because like you're having creatures first of all to crew vehicles, so it could leave you open. And you can crew at any time. It's just more creatures the better to block. Because as they say, math is for blockers, but it's also for attackers. Odric, Lunarch Marshal for 3 generic and white. He is a legendary human soldier, 3/3. At the beginning of each combat, creatures you control gain first strike until in turn the creature you control has first strike. The same is true for Flying, Death Touch, Double Strike, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Skulk, Trample, and Vigilance. So we put our commander's combat trigger before this one, and suddenly all of our creatures who are able to all of our creatures have suddenly gained Vigilance and Lifelink, along with maybe some more keywords that like one creature on board may have. Most likely Vigilance and Lifelink on our turn because of our turn. Pretty nice. Allows you to attack them. Alhammer's Archive, once again making use of the lifelink. 5 generic, it's a legendary artifact that says if you gain life, you gain twice that much life instead. And if you draw a card, except the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 instead. Trading Post. For 4 generic, it's an artifact that for 1 generic, you can tap it, discard a card, gain 4 life. 1 generic, you can tap it, pay 1 life to create an 0/1 white goat creature token. For 1 generic, you can tap it and sacrifice a creature to return target artifact card from your graveyard to hand. And for 1 generic, you can also tap it, Trading Post, and sacrifice an artifact to draw a card. Fallow Sage. I don't really think Wizards thought of this. Because 3 generic and a blue, it's a Merfolk Wizard 2/2 that states when it becomes tapped, you may draw a card. Making use of being crew, being used in crew cost. Judge of Currents for 1 generic and a white. It's a Merfolk Wizard 1/1 that states whenever a Merfolk you control becomes tapped, you may gain 1 life, which you probably will. Because you'll probably be left open a lot due to you crewing in the early game, so you might have taken some damage. But this can heal you up real nice and fast, because anytime you tap Merfolk, and there are quite a few in here, because they have like this, whenever this creature or another creature sort of like becomes tapped effect, do this. So in this case, it's a game of life, really making use of crew. Surge Spanner for 2 generic and double blue. It's a Merfolk Wizard 2/2. Whenever it becomes tapped, you may pay 1 generic and a blue. If you do, return target permanent to its owner's hand. So you can send like something you want to send back to your hand for whatever reason it may be, maybe to get like another ETB effect, or like send something to your opponent's hand, like heck, it says permanent and not non-land permanent, so you can start sending lands to their hand. Grimoire Thief for double blue. It's a Merfolk Rogue 2/2. When it becomes tapped, you exile top 3 cards of your opponent's library. but in this case, it says remove from the game. You may look at cards from exiled with Grim or Thief. Then for blue, you can sacrifice Grim or Thief and turn all cards exiled with it face up and counter all spells with those names. Again, not a hypocrite. That's an ability, not a spell. All right, Arbiter of the Ideal. For 4 generic and double blue, it's a Sphinx with flying for 5. This also makes use of the crew ability in a sense because of Inspired. Whenever Arbiter of the Ideal becomes untapped, reveal the top card of your library. If it's an artifact, creature, or land card, you may put it onto the battlefield with a manifestation counter on it. That permanent is an enchantment in addition to its other types. So, the reason this is good is because, like, most of the time, if you weren't using this to crew, you'd be attacking with this to get it tapped, or like in some other way, and it could die. Whereas this is far more useful. You get to tap it, you don't risk it dying in combat, and it's used to send another creature into combat that could still die. Not beneficial, but still, it allows like creatures with Inspired, in this case, to stay back and like still trigger off with their Inspired abilities. Fate Stitcher for 3 generic and blue. It's a zombie wizard, 1/2. You can tap to tap or untap another target permanent. You may do that, just so you know. Unearth for a single blue, meaning you may return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then it gains haste, and then you exile it if it would leave the battlefield. Unearth only as a sorcery, so most of the time only on your turn. Veteran of the Depths for 3 generic and white. It's a merfolk soldier, and when it becomes tapped, you may put a +1 counter on it. Naxaw Flick for 3 generic and a blue. It's a fairy rogue, flying 1/4, 1 generic and a blue. You can untap it. That's the untap symbol. And then target opponent exiles the top card of its library, and then until end of turn, you may play that card. So this, once again, making use of the crew ability by allowing this to tap itself to crew, and then untap, use that ability, and then crew again. Pretty nice. God-favored general for 1 generic and white. It's human soldier, 1/1. Inspired. When it becomes untapped, you may pay 2 generic and white. And if you do, put 2 1/1 white soldier and general creature tokens onto the battlefield. So more guys to crew. Airy Worshippers for 3 generic and a blue. It's a human cleric, or I guess they are. There's multiple of them. 2/4. And when it becomes untapped, you may pay 2 generic and a blue. If you create a 2/2 blue bird enchantment creature token with flying. Stony Brook Schoolmaster for 2 generic and a white. It's a merfolk wizard, 1/2. And when it becomes tapped, you may put a 1/1 blue merfolk wizard creature token into play. Well, onto that play. Probably should just create. Vidalcan Humiliator for 3 generic and a blue. It's a Vidalcan wizard. Excuse me. Blech. 3/4. A Metalcraft. Whenever this guy is hacked, if you control 3 or more artifacts, creatures your opponents control lose all abilities and have base power toughness 1/1 until end turn. Mechanized Production. This is a win condition, in fact. For 2 generic and double blue, it's an enchantment or enchant artifact you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of enchanted artifact. Then if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another, you win the game. Pretty nice. Bastry, Devoted Paladin for 4 generic and double white. We have a legendary planeswalker who comes in with 4 loyalty. +1, you give a +1/+1 counter to a creature, and then that creature gains vigilance until end turn. -1, whenever creature attacks this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. to making use of like maybe when we're not attacking with vehicles, but just regularly, or if we're like trying to finish them off, or like when our just in general when we attack, it's great. Because like then we get to like make crewing kind of worthwhile. -6 creature you control get +2/+2 in game flying until end turn. Mastery Cat for 1 generic into white. He is a legendary planeswalker. Comes with 3 loyalty +1. Put a +1/+1 count on up to 1 target creature. It gains indestructible until end turn. -2 whenever one or more non-token creatures you control attack. Whenever one or more non-token creatures attack this turn. So if you're somehow able to activate this on your opponent's turn, then you create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. But this will only be on your turn because your opponents will be attacking. And then -6, you get an emblem with at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, then put a +1/+1 count on each creature you control. Johnny Call of the Pride for 1 generic and double white. He is a planeswalker who comes in with 4 loyalty +1. You put a +1/+1 count on up to 1 target creature. -3, target creature gains flying and double strike until end turn. -8, put X 2/2 white cat creature tokens onto the battlefield where X is your life total. So that is like could be a good army. And it could really help with crew a lot. In fact, leave you some blockers and allow you to crew at the same time and attack. Mirror Smith from 1 generic and white. It's a human artificer 2/1. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1 generic, and if you do, you create a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature token. Adventurer's Fair. It's a legendary land that allows you to gain 1 life at the beginning of your upkeep if you control 3 or more artifacts. You can tap for a colorless, or for 4 generic, you can tap it and sacrifice Adventurer's Fair. Insert your library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only if you control 3 or more artifacts. Solarian Academy. It's a legendary land that can tap to add a blue to your mana pool for each artifact you control. Windbrisk Heights. It's a land with hideaway so it enters battlefield tapped, and when it does, you look at the top 4 cards of your library, and you exile 1 face down. Then you put the rest on the bottom of your library. So this land here can tap for a white or for a singular white. It can tap and you may play the exile card without paying its mana cost if you attack 3 or more creatures this turn. And with this being in white deck, this is really going to help us out. Academy Ruins. Legendary land. It can tap for colors or for 1 turn can blue. It can tap to put target artifact card from our graveyard onto the top of our library. Then we have 23 basic islands and 23 basic planes. And with all of that, the end of this video starring the pre-con commander Kotori Pilot Prodigy. I am in the process of making Upgrades Unleashed. So if you want to see that next time, then please let me know by being the first one to comment on this video. Or if you want to see another commander, like Jin Taxis, the new one, then all you have to do is be the first one to comment and comment the commander you want to see. So whether it's like legit or custom, just make sure I'm able to find it, obviously. Anyways, aside from that, like and subscribe. We're only at 16. We're 4 away, guys. Then we can do 20 sub special. Oh, hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of this content. Go watch my other videos that you may have not watched up to this point. I like feedback, so give me comments, please. Like I said, you know, the deal, first one to comment kind of controls the episode. Next time. And what else was I thinking? Oh, share this video with others and share my other videos. Anyways, I will see you guys next time.